Okay, in this video we're going to continue covering the advanced settings for a backup job. In other videos we covered the backup filter and notifications, and now we're going to finish off with the last three tabs: the antivirus, the run as, and the custom commands. The antivirus tab, I have recently started not installing the antivirus feature of the program. It's certainly there. You can definitely use it if you want. Let me explain how the antivirus works, and I'll tell you why I've decided that it's not my favorite thing. Every computer should have antivirus software already. There are free options out there that you can get. There are options provided by Microsoft that you can get that are free. There are paid subscriptions that you can get to antivirus. No one has any real excuse not to have antivirus on their, especially their desktops. So having said that, having an antivirus scan prior to backing up to me seems a little bit redundant. The next thing, it's another thing that can break. Complexity is the mortal enemy of reliability, and having additional features sometimes overly complicates things and can cause things to break that don't need to. So because everyone should have antivirus on their machine already and keep it up to date, for me personally, I don't think that the antivirus scan is a significant feature. Uh, if it's something that you absolutely want to have, that's fine. It's there for you, uh, but it doesn't replace an antivirus software on your computer. In other words, it's not going to take the place of a Microsoft Security Essentials or an AVG or a Norton, or there's a whole litany of antivirus softwares out there, and the antivirus component of the backup client doesn't replace them. It's not going to delete anything. It's not going to move anything into quarantine. It's not going to do anything except not back that file up. I think it does a disservice in that um, if you have that set, you may be thinking that you're okay, that you've got a file backed up, albeit infected, and it's not. It may not back it up. So I don't like the antivirus. If the antivirus tab is not there, then it wasn't installed on your machine. How it works is you click on the Enable Virus Scanning, and then you have two choices. You can either skip that file, don't back it up, or you can process it and ignore the virus. Neither one are real good options in my opinion. You can update the antivirus definitions by clicking on the Home tab, and then there's an Update Virus Scanner button here that you can click, and it will go out and update those definitions. Again, if you want to use it, it's fine. It's there. It's not going to replace uh, an antivirus software package that you would install on your machine. If you have any questions on where to get some of the free ones, Google free antivirus. Microsoft has one. It's the Microsoft Security Essentials. AVG is one that we've used in the past. There are a number of other free ones out there that are pretty good. And then you've got your paid subscriptions that you can buy. So you definitely want to have those on your machine. Moving right along to the Run As tab, we had talked about the Run As before in setting it up as a default. The Run As box is if you want to run the backup job as another user. In other words, if you set up a user, or if you have, say, a receptionist user and a night receptionist user, and you have those users restricted to access, so they don't have permission to everything, you could come in here and put in, say, the administrator user ID and password, and run the backup job as the administrator. You could create a backup user and run it as the backup. We've talked about setting up a backup user whose password never changed, so you don't have to worry about getting errors because your password changed. This box is going to be, again, your Windows credential, your Windows user um, that you want to run the backup job. If you have any questions on that, feel free to give us a yell and we can explain it. The logged in user is going to run the backup job as the user that is currently logged in. If no user is logged in, then it will run as the local system. Moving right along to the Custom Command tab. The Custom Command tab is one of those things that you don't realize how cool it is until you need it. You're just looking at it, you may say, well, gee, why would I need to run anything before or after a backup job? Depending on where you're at and what you need, this can really be a cool feature. I'll give you an example. We have a database that we use for authentication. I have a script that we wrote that will back up that authentication database, and then what I can do is, before I run the backup job, I can run that script to back up that database, and then that way that database is freshly backed up when my online backup job goes ahead and runs. You can run disk defrag to keep your disk defragmented before you do a backup. You could shut your computer down by putting in the proper commands here. You could shut your computer down or restart your computer either before or after a backup job. That can come in real handy. All kinds of things that you can do, from shutting down. Another example that we use is, for example, we have a development database, and what I have done is set up a job that actually copies, but it will shut down the development database, copy a live database to my development database, and then restart the development database. So it all by itself, it takes down the database, copies the data to another server, and then restarts that database back up, so that my development database is always fairly up to date with what's going on in the real world. There's all kind of things that you can run in the custom command, and it's a program that runs before or after the backup job. One gotcha that I found a couple years ago, or I guess a couple years ago now, is that the command has to finish. In other words, if you run Notepad and Notepad opens up on the desktop, the program isn't going to continue until Notepad is gone. So the program has to finish before the backup job will take effect. In other words, if you want to run a disk defrag, or if you want to run an antivirus scan, the backup job is going to stop until that disk defrag or until that antivirus scan is completely done, and then the backup will resume. It's not going to start the job, and then it's not going to start let's say a defrag or an antivirus scan and then run, in tandem or in parallel. It's going to completely wait until that program has stopped. If there's any errors in that program and that program errors out, gets hung or whatever, then the backup may not run. So that's kind of a gotcha that you want to be aware of. However, and it is only available if you were backing up to a local device, in other words, a USB, CD, etc. It doesn't appear in the if you're doing an online backup, and that is the encryption tab. If you go to the if you're doing a local backup, in other words, to a C drive or something, and you go into the settings, the job settings, you will have an encryption tab. The encryption tab is what it's going to encrypt your backup job. In other words, those files that we had, let's see, in our local backup, let's see if I've got any. Yes, the actual physical backup file, the zip file, if you will, is going to be encrypted if you select the encrypt files on the backup server. If it's not encrypted and someone else can get to that file, in other words, I could right-click on this, copy this, save it to a CD, save it to a DVD, reload the Blue Sky software on my machine. In theory, I could restore all of your data to my machine. By encrypting it, by going to the encryption tab and selecting the little checkbox, you're going to encrypt that where whoever stole that data or whoever got that data is going to have to enter the secret key. It must be between it must be between 8 and 20 characters long. It can be pretty much any kind of alphanumeric special character um, that you want to come up with. Um, you must provide this if you select to encrypt your files. In other words, it won't let me um, leave this box until I put a secret key in there. You want to be very mindful that you don't want to lose this secret key either. So that's the guy there. If you don't encrypt it, then like I said, anybody that can get their hands on the backup file, you potentially could have your data stolen. Whereas encrypting this, it's going to essentially put a password on that file so that just anybody can't get it. If you're backing up to an online device, that happens by default. That is taken care of automatically, and that's based on your user ID and password. So just wanted to add that in there.